Good morning, and this morning I'd like to talk about Nintendo. I've not talked about Nintendo for a little while, and that's primarily been because there's not been an awful lot to talk about. But they finally issued some more details about their online service, which is going to launch in September, finally. And we've got some information about what it's going to offer and how much it's going to cost and all the rest of it. And let's talk about cost initially. The cost is going to be, for 1 month, it's going to be $3.99, £3.49. For 3 months, it's going to be $7.99 in dollars and £6.99 in pounds. And for 12 months, it's going to be $19.99, that's dollars, and £17.99 pounds, which is not too bad at all, really, when you look at it that way. They'll also be offering a family membership, which is $34.99, that's dollars, and $31.49 in pounds. So again, not too bad. Now, the family membership will give you access for up to 7 other members of your family, and that will allow them to access the online service. That compares fairly favourably with Microsoft and Sony. Sony give you the option of having 7 PlayStation Network accounts linked for family members or 15 local users. So you could have 15 local users set up with your family on one PlayStation. Microsoft gives you the opportunity to have 10 family members, and also you can game share between 2 consoles. So you could have 2 family members on 2 different consoles and they can game share. So you could buy one version of the game and have 2 people playing it. And something similar on Sony's setup as well. I'm not sure whether that's going to be the case with Nintendo, and it seemingly isn't, but we'll get to that in a minute. One of the other things it now is going to offer is the ability to save games to cloud storage. Finally. It's only taken you a little while, hasn't it, Nintendo? I'm actually glad that they're doing this, but it should have been something that was available from day one with the Switch. In this day and age, it's unforgivable that they didn't have this option. But it's going to be there from September, so thank goodness for that. The other thing you're going to get with this online service is access to online multiplayer. Now, you may be asking, what's going on with that? Because I've got access to online multiplayer now. Well, you won't have come September, because the only way you're going to have access to online multiplayer from then is to pay for the online service. And as I say, that's going to be $3.99 a month in dollars, or however much it is if you want to pay for 3 or 12 months. So yeah, you're going to have to pay out if you want to play your favourite games online. Now, that's no different to Sony or Microsoft. My only issue there really is that it seems like their service is rather less than Microsoft or Sony are offering. But, it is what it is. And we were expecting this. We knew it was coming. So you just decide for yourself and work out whether it's worth it for you. The other thing they're going to be offering is 20 free NES games. And from what I can gather, that's just going to be a blanket 20 free games. They're not going to be taking those off the system from what we can see. So it's not going to be a rolling system. There's no mention of SNES games, though they did mention it earlier on when they were talking about this. There's no mention of it here. And there's certainly no mention of N64 games, GameCube games, Wii games, or anything like that. The 10 games that we've had announced so far are soccer, tennis, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Balloon Fight, Ice Climber, Dr. Mario, The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers 3, and that's it. The other 10 we're going to hear about later on. And that's pretty much all we've had from them. This service is not going to give us some of the things we would expect from modern services. And the one that really comes to mind first for me is one I've already mentioned, and that's GameShare. As I say, both Microsoft and Sony give you the option of sharing your game across 2 consoles. So if you buy it digitally, you can buy the copy and it will be on one console, and then you can download it to the other console as well. And as long as someone is logged in who's a member of your family and it's set up as a family membership, they can access those games with all the functionality that they would have if they bought it themselves. And even though we're getting family membership with the Nintendo Online service, it doesn't look like they're going to be offering this functionality. I don't know at this stage. They've not actually announced anything about this, but the fact they've not said anything would suggest to me that we're not going to get it. And, you know, it doesn't really surprise me because this is Nintendo, and Nintendo don't like giving their games away in any way, shape or form. We've still got the issue with voice chat. You know, it's still a joke. It isn't going to change anytime soon. And the only way we're really going to get an improvement is if we get a hardware revision. And it is looking increasingly like we may well get a hardware revision because the Tegra X1 has now been opened up like John Hurt in the film Alien. And you can pretty much do anything you like with it, or you will be able to down the line and play unsigned code and stuff like this. But that's maybe a subject for another video. But nevertheless, it does look like Nintendo are going to be pushed into a hardware revision, and we should all be crossing our fingers and hoping that they're going to do something about voice chat at that time. But with current hardware, I don't see that much is going to change, and the online service is not going to do anything about that at all. There's no streaming service that I could see. You know, Microsoft and Sony allow streaming to Twitch and obviously to Beam in Microsoft's case, but there doesn't seem to be any provision for this with the Switch. Obviously, you can use third-party hardware, but that's not necessarily going to be easy, certainly not on the go, but obviously that's moot to some extent. You know, it's not surprising that we're not going to get streaming on board with the Switch, given the lack of power of the system. You know, it's hard to do that, but it's still a bit of a disappointment that we're not getting this with the Switch. I wonder if it's moot because Nintendo simply don't want people sharing gameplay. They have a backwards mindset when it comes to stuff like this, and I worry about that. I think that it's going to come back and bite them on the arse if they're not careful. The idea of locking everything down and controlling all aspects of their intellectual property, it may be understandable, but it's not exactly something that is going to endear the company to modern gamers who, well, frankly, they're used to streaming their games and they want to be able to do it, especially younger gamers who seem to stream absolutely everything. My boy wants to stream. He's only 8 and he already wants to start streaming. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but he wants to. There's no virtual console. That's something else that has become pretty clear now. We are not going to be getting the virtual console anytime soon, if at all. So, you know, I'm wondering what's going to replace it. Do Nintendo intend to keep expanding the free games lineup for the online service? If they do, and they're going to be adding SNES, N64 and so on, then, you know, this could end up being an exceptional service and it could be phenomenal value for money. But frankly, I have my doubts. As I said earlier, Nintendo have never been in the habit of giving their games away or even offering them a reasonable discount. So I don't know. I doubt we're going to see anything like that happen. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope the free online games expands out and we get more and more of them across more and more systems, and then it'll be phenomenal. But as I say, I can't see it happening. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, but your guess is as good as mine on that one. Overall, the Switch Online service seems to be a bit of a mixed bag. Yes, it's cheaper than the Xbox or the PlayStation offerings, unless you're looking at the family service, in which case it's only a couple of quid cheaper. And, you know, we are finally getting online backups for our save games, thank goodness. Some of these things are welcome additions, especially the family membership, But apart from a few small things, there's nothing really that makes me want to rush out and get it. And I wonder how many people will. I mean, maybe the price will encourage people. If you're just one person and not a family, then it is pretty cheap. But it becomes a lot more expensive if you're going to be buying the family membership, and then it's on a par with Sony and Microsoft. Despite the fact that it is, very much cut down compared to what they offer us. The fact is that despite having over a year to develop this service, it's still going to be way behind what we get from both of the major competitors of Nintendo, Sony and Microsoft, for virtually the same money. If they'd offered streaming, if they'd supported Game Share for those on the family plan, and if they'd been clear about what's going to replace the Virtual Console, then, maybe I'd be happy. But for now, if I'm being honest, I'm just a little bit underwhelmed. It all feels a little bit lackluster. And the fact that Nintendo are still drip feeding us information suggests that they still haven't worked out exactly what they're doing. Either that or they're deliberately playing their cards close to their chest, which frankly doesn't surprise me with Nintendo because that's what they do. Don't get me wrong, I want the online service to be good. I just feel that some of the choices Nintendo made early on with the Switch are now causing problems for them. The voice chat issue is not something they can easily solve without a hardware revision, as I've said, and that goes for streaming too. But the bigger problem is Nintendo's own ethos. They simply don't want people streaming and sharing gameplay, and they don't really seem to want gamers talking to each other either. I wonder why. Frankly, it's a shame because the success of the Switch means there are a lot of gamers out there who would love to be streaming and making videos about Nintendo's games, and the free marketing could only help the console get bigger. It beggars belief that Nintendo don't seem to understand this, and I've mentioned this before. They just don't seem to get it. But hey, what do I know? I was wrong about the success of the Switch. I thought it was going to be a failure, and I'm probably wrong about the online service too. But, whether you agree with me or whether you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments. Come and tell me what you think of this. What do you think of the announcement? What do you think about how much it's going to cost? And what do you think about what we're going to be getting for the money? Do you think it's value for money? And if you like the video, I'm going to do a little bit of begging here. Make sure you subscribe and also hit the little bell to be notified because, as you may well know, YouTube are doing everything they can to stop people viewing the content they actually want to see and would rather push adverts for Jimmy Kimmel and other people. So, as I say, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, all the rest of it. And in the meantime, I'm going to bugger off and get myself a cup of tea, as I usually do. And I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye.